Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 2 of the ASRC Classic Formula 1 Championship 1993 season. My name is David Buckley. I'll be your commentator for this evening, part of the Chequered Flag Simsports family, and you join us for the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola, in the lovely region of Italy. Round 2, as I said, Formula 1 cars, early 90s, what's not to love? So we have a 62 lap race, I believe it is, or 61 lap race this evening, in fantastic conditions, I must say, and it's going to be an absolutely fantastic event, I can assure you. So we'll just come into the end of practice and we'll go straight into the qualifying session, and we'll see what can be achieved here. So looking at the results from last round, it was a fantastic race we had at Interlagos last time out, with Kowalski in McLaren taking the top spot in the opening race of the season, followed by Van Nuven in the Ferrari, and then Zenkov in third position takes the 4 points available in the Benetton. Stepanenko in fourth position in the Ferrari, with Russell in fifth, and Suvic rounds out the point scorers from round 1. When it comes to the team standings, McLaren are in top spot at the moment with 12 points, Ferrari in second with 9 points, Benetton in third with 5 points. So, it's going to be very, very interesting this evening. This track is completely different to what we would have seen at the likes of Interlagos. It's so fast. It is. It's fast, it's twisty, it's got some interesting features that are not present on the modern day layout. We have the 1988 layout of the San Marino Grand Prix this evening. So Tamburello one corner, and Villeneuve as well, one corner as well. It's very fast paced. It's going to be absolutely mental to see. So we are just about to go over to qualifying, and then we will get underway this evening. And we'll see who can sit on the top spot. The mixed conditions last time out at Interlagos, we had unexpected rain, which is similar to the real-life event from 1993, causing drivers to change from slick tyres to wet tyres and back to slick tyres as the track dried out. And it was a mental race with lots of action, lots of upset. Maurice Gamoza, who did not actually finish in the last race, is currently sat, I believe, in 9th in the standings, top in the practice sessions. He was in the 121, so he's got a lot of pace this evening. He's going to hope he can bring that forward towards qualifying and the race, and hopefully get himself a better position than he did last time out. So we have cars going out onto track now. As we see everybody all out now. This is Lee Russell in the McLaren. It's the first car out. And you can see how fast this circuit is. With the first sector anyway, absolutely nothing to slow the cars down. From the start-finish line all the way up to that corner there, which is Tosa. It's flat out. You are relying completely on the downforce. So this is going to be absolutely mega to see who can pull this one off, who can get a decent lap in and get the qualifying spot. 14 minutes of qualifying, so not a lot of time to get a lap in here. You've got to be really quick and really on it to get the top spot in. It's, everybody coming out on the soft tyres. Still got a few cars in the pits. Timon Suvic, who had a relatively mixed race. Jacob Kowalski, who actually won the last race in the System McLaren. He is currently in the pits as well, waiting his turn. So, as we are coming down to the start-finish straight here, it looks like Scamorza there is getting a little bit impatient. We'll ride on board with Lee Russell, and we'll get a lap in of the 1988 version of Imola. So, across the start-finish line now, and this is where it's going to be flat out all the way. There's the start-finish line, and then all the way flat out now. Tamburello, first corner, completely different than it is today. Just a sweeping left-hander that goes on forever, still flat out. And then coming up to Villeneuve now, again flat out, no chicanes here. Heavy braking now into Tosa. the first heavy braking zone as Russell gets really sideways there under the braking zone. The tyre's still a little bit cold, and up the hill to the left-hander. It's turn 5 and turn 6 coming up. A lot of curb there for Russell. Keeps it under control, and then braking now into Acqua Minerale. Slightly different than the Model Out. A little bit more clumsy, a little bit more slow speed. Nicely done by Russell, and then up the hill now towards Variante Alta. Braking once again. It's another clumsy chicane, difficult to get right, but carries enough speed there, does Lee Russell. The McLaren sailing now towards the final, the final sector. Rivazza now hits the apex nicely, and then just a short blast of throttle, a little bit off, just for a lift, and then what you would expect would be a flat out run to the line now. No, you go sweeping right and left with just a lift, and then heavy braking into Variante Bassa there, which is not there on a modern circuit, and then across the line in the second. We're going to see what kind of time that Lee Russell can set provisionally. 1:23.463. So not a terrible lap there for Lee Russell. I think he can find a little bit more time. We'll see what everyone else can do. He's the only one so far to set a lap. Vladislav Zenkov goes quicker. 1:21.961, so he is absolutely flying there, 1.5 seconds ahead of Lee Russell and McLaren. We know that Lee can get some quicker lap times in. Mr. Stepanenko in the Ferrari goes into third position, 1:26.53. That's not a representative time for Nick, so he'll be hoping to get a little bit more time there. He's about 4.5 seconds off the overall pace at the moment. Morris Scamozza, who is topping the times in the practice, he was well into the 121s. He is going to see what he can do now. He's on a lap. He's set a purple Sector 1, Sector 2, 25.5. So he's not purple, but he's not far off the quickest. He's about 2/10 in the middle sector to Zenkov. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of the Benetton. Carlos Dempoles, who was not here for round 1, goes into 4th position. He is with a 1:28.060, so he'll be looking to set a slightly more representative lap time. Now coming into the final few sectors now, Scamozza. Oh, that's a big spin ahead. That's going to compromise his lap horrifically there. That is so unfortunate. I think that was possibly Zenkov. Absolutely ruining the end of Scamozza's lap. Comes across the line now, 1:22.582. That is going to be second place for Scamozza. Only 0.6 of a second off Zenkov though, so he's got time to. He can easily find that time. Looks like he's going again, so we'll keep an eye on him and see if he can improve. Tony Mitzalis, I do apologise. I think that's where's my Mitzalis, I do. Yes, it is Mitzalis. He's currently sat in 5th position in the number 24 car. He is about 4.6 seconds off pole lap, and he's only about less than a 10th behind the next car, which is Nick Stepanenko. So he is going to look to gain some more time. Purple in both Sector 1 and Sector 2 for Scamozza. Shortly lived as Cal Vessa, currently down in 7th position. He goes purple in Sector 1. But keep an eye on this now. Scamozza coming into the final sector. Heavy braking into Rivazza now. And then just the final chicane / bus stop to do. High speed sweeper there. Sparks coming off the car, braking into the final 2 corners. What can Scamozza do? Can he beat a 1:21.961? Comes across the line, and he just about doesn't. 0.013 off Vladislav Zenkov's pace. So he lost. I think he lost a little bit of time in Sector 3. Looks like he's going to bail out of this lap and go again. He's got 8.5 minutes just over to do another lap, so plenty of time. Kowalski goes into 4th position with a 1:23.463. Timon Suvic is in 3rd, 1:22.761. So that's a pretty decent lap time, only about 0.8 of a second off the pole time of Zenkov. And the only person not to set lap time so far, Dale Borweg. I say that, he's just come across the line there. He does a 1:25.380, which puts him into 7th position. So Dale there in the Footwork Mugen Honda. Fantastic looking livery on that car. It's a shame this car wasn't very successful in real life, but He's carrying on. He goes green in sector 1. That's right on board with Dale. We can see the inputs of the steering coming up to Piratella now. A little bit slow on the apex, but gets through cleanly. And then through Acca Minerali, no issues there. Coming into the Variante Alta, again, no issues. Possibly a little bit slow on the apex, but he's green in both sector 1 and 2, so personal bests. Coming into Rivata now, heavy braking zone. Gets us to the apex, nicely done there by Dale, and then just a lift through the second Rivata. A bit of a downshift there through the first part of Variante Bassa, and then heavy over the curbside, compromises his exit somewhat. Comes across the line, 125.178, so lost a lot of time there in the final sector, did Dale. Timon Suvic currently on an outlap in the Camel Benetton Ford. We'll follow him round as he's only, he's at about 8/10 off the fastest lap, so he's got a little bit of time to find us, Timon, as he comes into round 2 here. 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying, so plenty of time to get a decent lap in still. So across start finish line, through the first corner, Tamburello. Completely flat, stuck to the ground, sparks flying off the car, even under braking as the nose scrapes along the surface of the road. He's not improved in sector. He did improve in sector 1, 15.981. So it's going relatively quickly. About 10th off some of the cars behind him. He's 10th quicker than Zenkov in the first sector on that last lap. That wasn't representative from Zenkov, that was 129.6, so possibly a bit of traffic. Goes green in sector 2. Braking now into the Rivata corners. Pounding the throttle into Variante Bassa. There gets on the curb, that unsettles the car, and that is the lap completely ruined. He's going to finish it anyway as Timon, and we'll see him come across the line. What could have been, I think, that on that 123.1. So not an improvement, but he was quick in the first 2 sectors. He's carrying on, so we'll keep an eye on him as the session progresses. Scamorza here in the Jordan. He is purple in sector 1, but down on his best in sector 2. So he's got all the work to do now in sector 3 to get himself on the top spot ahead of Zankov, who is in the pits and just enjoying his time there. Coming across the line now, can Scamorza improve? Yes, he does, and not by much. A 121.902, which is 0.058 of a second quicker than Vladislav Zenkov. So I'm sure Morrow will want to improve on that time ever so slightly, but we'll have to wait and see. Not got a lot of time to do it. Under 4 minutes of the session remaining. Unfortunately, I think we did lose one car. I'm not entirely sure who that was. Keeping an eye on that one. Timon, I think it was, which is unfortunate. Hopefully he can get back into the session before the end. 3.5 minutes to go now. Yeah, he's gone purple in sector 2 as Scamorza there, so he's pushing as much as he can. 25.348 in that last sector. Vladislav Zenkov back on the track as well. Clearly feels he can gain some time. See the brakes glowing there coming through the second Ravazza from Morris Gamorza. And then, oh, he's coming into the pits. Okay, so he bailed on that lap. Just keep an eye on Zenkov here. Oh, that's Zenkov going off the road there. Through, what was that? I think that was at the top of Piratella, possibly. So coming down into Ravazza now. Have a little bit of dirt on his tyres from that, so we'll see if he can keep the temperature in the tyres now on starting his lap. He's going to have a little bit of traffic ahead, it looks like. But yeah, he backs out just to get himself a little bit of space. There we go, we've got Timon Suvic back in the session. Apologies for the little bit of lag, someone as he did join there, but back to the chain car grid, and then across the line there goes Vladislav Zenkov starting his next flying lap. We'll see what he can do. 1 minute and 57 seconds of the session remaining, so he's going to have one opportunity after this if he has the fuel to do it. He's not improved in the first sector, 16.001, so it's a little bit down on his best through Sector 1. He's got it all to do in Sector 2 and 3 though. The gap is very small, so just a 10th improvement in any sector could get him back onto the pole here. Lee Russell up into third position at 122.792 is his best, so about 8/10 off the best times at the moment. Purple in Sector 2 goes Zenkov. 25.268 in that sector. Lee Russell actually did go quicker there. I thought 20. Oh no, he didn't. Never mind me. But coming through, yeah, possibly Kyle Vesa ahead of him. That's hopefully not going to hold him up too much. Getting the slipstream now is Zenkov. Is he going to improve? Yes, he is. And that's quite an improvement, 121.444. That puts him on pole by nearly half a second. So Scamorza has a lot to do here in the final 30 seconds of this qualifying. See, he is improving on this lap. He's purple in Sector 1, green Sector 2. He does have traffic ahead of him coming into Variante Alta here. Sector 2 was the point I believe he lost time. It's a bit of a lock-up from the car ahead of him. I think that's possibly one of the Minardis, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, let's get held up massively there. Oh, and he has to bail out there. So that'll be it for Scamorza. He can no longer improve. He has to make sure he doesn't get in the way of the Williams there. But yeah, that is the end of the session. We have Zenkov currently on a lap. He is not improving, so he's probably going to bail out of this and come back to the pits. Jacob Kowalski is currently on a lap. He's down in first. Two sectors coming across the line there. That's 124.289. Not an improvement. So I don't think anybody can defeat Zenkov here. Not unless, yeah, there comes Zenkov into the pits. Boy, here, he is on a flying lap as well, but he is down in Sector 1 and 2. His current best is a 125.178, so he's about 3.5 seconds off the pole time. Comes across the line, he does improve slightly, but leaves him still in 6th position. And Kyle Vesa here in the Cannon Williams. He's improving as well. He's got purple in Sector 1, but he's green in Sector 2. So this could be an interesting lap to finish off this qualifying session. His last car on track. Coming through second Ravazza now, gets very squirrely off the apex there. Whoa, a lot of curve there. Really unsettles the car, and he bails into the pits. So that will be your grid for the start of the race. Zenkov taking a fantastic pole position, with Morris Scamorza in the Jordan in second position, Lee Russell in third. So we'll just wait for the session to flick over here. We'll have a quick warm-up session just to make sure everybody is all ready for the race. Looks like, again, we've lost Timon Suvic, so hopefully, once again, he can get back into the session. Possibly some connection issues for him there, which is a shame. But we can hope that he does get back into the race. So, just we're waiting for the session to roll over here. We'll run through our starting order for the race. So, Vladislav Zenkov in the Benetton comes in first position with Morris Gamoza in second place in the Jordan. The two McLarens next, Lee Russell and Jakub Kowalski take up row 2. Row 3 is Tony Mitsalis in the Minardi, then Dale Borg in sixth position with Footwork Honda. Then Karsten Poles in the LaRouche, and then we have Nick Stepanenko in the Ferrari in 8th, and on the back of Kyle Vesser, who I think's got a little bit more pace to give, comes home in 9th position. We do have Timon Suvic, who can hopefully get back into the race before the session moves over, and we will just wait and see what can happen with him now. So, yep, just a quick point here. So we've got a 62 lap race, which is a little bit shorter, obviously, in terms of laps than the first round into Lagos, but it's a slightly longer lap time. So maximum time we set here for these races is 2 hours, as we have just a 10-minute warm-up session just for the drivers to get comfortable. We can hopefully get to him back in the server so he can start. I believe he was on row 2, splitting the McLaren, so once again we'll see. But yeah, it's a very tricky race, is this one. We saw in the last round, if you joined us for that one, if you haven't, I recommend going back and watching that, because it was an absolutely stunning race from everybody involved here. Timon back in, fantastic. Fantastic race all around. We had many battles for the lead, lots of spills and thrills, and differing strategies to contend with. So it was a fantastic watch, and I recommend everybody go back and watch that if you haven't, and if you have, just go back anyway, because it was fun to watch. Just a note as well, I have remembered we do have a few penalties from the last round. So Tony Mitsalis, for his contact with Steblin, he gets a 5-place grid penalty. Morris Gamoza, with his contact with Van Leuven, gets a 10-place grid penalty, so he goes right to the back of the grid. And then Jakub Kowalski gets a 10-place grid penalty as well with his collision with Zhenkov. So I didn't know that is going to throw everything up in the air if those results, if those penalties are applied to this round. So that will put Mitsalis, who is currently in 5th position, that put him down to the back of the grid. Morris Gamoza would be behind him, so it'd be 9th and 10th for them, and same with Jakub Kowalski as well. So the revised grid, should these penalties come into effect, would be Zenkov on pole with Lee Russell in 2nd, Dale Borwick in 3rd, Karsten Poles in 4th. That is right. Nick Stepanenko, Karl Vesser, Timon Suvic. I believe again he will go up the grid once the grids are sorted, because he did set a lap in qualifying, and then we'll have Tony Mitsalis, Morris Gamoza, and Jakub Kowalski, who was our last race winner. So this could be spicy to watch the quick guys come back through the grid. Just have a look here at Gamoza, who is just doing some practice laps once again. So we've got the little race boxes, a little bit more sizable than I did notice in the first round. The little picture of the car there is really large, but that's all sorted now, thanks to Matt in the CFS team for dealing with that one. It looks much better this evening, and must say, cars in this this is all kind of DLC content here. The McLaren, which is what all of these cars are based off, the 1993 McLaren F1 car from our factory. Fantastic model, it looks absolutely stunning, especially with all of the skins from and the liveries from the real life season all over those. The circuit as well, I believe this is DLC content from from the Imola pack. 1988 layout, so completely different to what we see today, as you've seen through the qualifying. Much more high speed, much more dangerous as well. There's barely any space to run off, especially at the top of the hill at Piratella, because modern day that's got a lot of concrete runoff. No such luck here. It's just gravel and grass, so if you go off you are pretty much done for the day. Aqua Minerale as well, completely different setup. There's a kink chicane in there before the right-hander we know and love, and yeah, the bus stop / chicane at the end, Variante Bassa. That is a completely different challenge. Some of the chicanes a little bit more clumsy than what we see in modern day now, but it's absolutely fantastic. We can have things like this in the sim. So I promise you it's only 5.5 more minutes of me rambling about absolutely nothing until we get into the race, and we'll find out whether those penalties are applied, because unfortunately I don't have confirmation myself, so we'll have to wait and see, but that could make things extremely interesting. Somoza currently tops the timings in the warm-up session, 127.920. So this will just be a little bit of a practice run here, getting used to the car on full fuel once again, possibly trying a different tyre compound out as well. We have the soft, medium and hard compounds available in the dry running tyres, and we also have the wet compound tyres should we need those, which I don't believe we will for this evening. So tyre strategy is going to be a major talking point. So there is no refueling in this race this evening either. So you've got to take as much fuel as you can and get that to the end of the race. So fuel conservation is going to be something to look out for. So when it comes to strategy, you've got to nurse the tyres, or you push the tyres as much as you can and make more stops, but we'll have to wait and see what the best strategy is. Did see in the last round into Lagos, the medium tyres seemed to be the decent race tyre at that circuit, especially in the hands of Jakub Kowalski. He was doing a fantastic job of holding off everybody who was chasing him down throughout that one. But the soft tyre, very quick, obviously, in the opening stage, and it just kind of falls off ever so slightly towards the end of the stint, which made it difficult, especially in the changing conditions and the low grip situation we had to actually keep the car on the road. Lots of spinning and pirouetting from all the drivers involved. Most of the cars that we could see, I think there was 12 cars in the last round, most of them did finish, which is good to see. Personally, it's going to be a very difficult job to get these cars to the end for a full Grand Prix distance, especially if you're on the higher end equipment with heavy load cell pedals, direct drive wheels. If anyone is driving something along those lines, it's going to be a very tough race for them. Here's Timon Suvic, who has some connection issues in the qualifying and warm-up sessions so far. Looks like everything's stable for the time being, so we'll hopefully not we'll not curse him here. driver number 6, Benetton. He'll be looking to put some pace together and fight for some decent positions in the race. Cal Vesa here, who is the first time we're seeing him. He wasn't present in the first round at Interlagos, the first Williams we've seen. He showed some promise in qualifying, but just couldn't quite get the get everything together. I think he big lockup into the final chicane, which caused him to go off when he was improving. Currently sat in 3rd position. He is only at 0.3 of a second off the top driver. So Cal Vesa wants to look out for when it comes to the race. Also have to keep an eye on drivers should the penalties apply for this round. Drivers coming from the back of the grid. We know Morris Gamorza, extremely quick driver. He is going to be looking to fly up should that penalty apply. So there's one final point before we get ready for the race. Points allocation this evening will be as it was in 1993 in the real life Formula 1 Championship. Top 6 score points, with P1 getting 10 points, P2 is 6, P3 are 4 points, and then P4, 5 and 6 will get 3, 2 and 1 points respectively. And that is it. No top 10 finishers get, well, the top 10 finishers get points here as it is in real life and the modern day. It was a lot more brutal back then, less points awarded, and you had to work harder to get them. So everything to play for here. Provided you have a decent run, it's a good opportunity. You can get points here, but it is not guaranteed. So 15 seconds until we get ready to grid this evening. We've still got 10 drivers here, which is fantastic to see. So hopefully Timon can keep his connection going for long enough to get to the end of this race. There we go, we can just see Cal Vesa come across the line there. 128.070 to finish off the session. He goes back to the pits and we get ready to grid for the race. So we'll just run through the starting order once again just to remind you. So Vladislav Zenkov in 1st position, 2nd place Morris Gamorza, pending no penalty in 2nd position. Lee Russell in 3rd with Jacob Kowalski, again pending no penalty in 4th. 5th position Tony Mitzalis in the Minardi, followed by Dale Borweg in 6th. Carsten Poles in the LaRouche is in 7th. 8th position we have Nick Stepanenko in the Ferrari. And then 9th, rounding off the grid, we have Cal Vesa. And we have seen, I've just seen, yes, the penalties did get applied. So we will have to run through that starting order once again. I think hopefully that is updated. Yes, it has. So Vladislav Zenkov and Timon Suvic in the top 2 rows, all Benetton front row. Lee Russell in 3rd position, Dale Borweg in 4th. 5th position we have Carsten Poles in the LaRouche. 6th we have Nick Stepanenko, he'll be happy with that. 7th Cal Vesa in the Williams, and 8th Tony Mitzalis in the Minardi. And then rounding up the final 2 positions that have grid, we have Morris Gamorza in the Jordan and Jacob Kowalski in the McLaren. So that's your updated starting grid there. So we're just waiting for everybody to get onto the grid here. And we will be moving on to the formation lap. That'll be the driver's last opportunity to get any heat they can into the tyres, into the brakes, and focus on getting a decent start. Only 10 drivers this evening, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an easy race for anybody involved. Waiting for the final drivers. We're all on the grid now, and we move on for the formation lap. 61 laps this evening, and Vladislav Zenkov is not hanging about when it comes to that formation lap. You can't get too far ahead of the cars as he if he is sat on that grid for too long, he'll lose all of the heat that is put into those tyres. So managing the pace and just managing everything there is vital. So you don't want to be sat on the grid for too long. So Allberton front row here. Bertons didn't have the best of races in Interlagos. Lots of issues there. Zankov having some coming together with the eventual winner, I believe it was Kowalski. So he is going to. Oh no, we've lost Suvik. So that is absolute disaster there. I don't think, unless they restart the session, I don't think Suvik will be able to start this race. So he drops out for the time being. That would promote Lee Russell into 2nd position, Dale Borwick into 3rd. So this could be absolute disaster for Suvik here. The race over before it even begins. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, whether the race directors want to restart the session or not. Yep, there we go. Looks like we are restarting the session. Just waiting for Suvik to get back in. So, do apologise for the brief delay as we just wait for all of the drivers to get into the race once again. I'm not sure how many times we'll be able to do this before the race is called, and unfortunately, Suvik will have to just sit this one out. But we'll wait and see. So this is where you don't really want to be sat as the racing driver. The nerves were starting to rise, adrenaline started to go, and then it's all just gone. So you have to reset yourself, get yourself prepared once again. So not what you want to see when it comes to starting the race, but plenty of time to just reset yourself, get everything. Just get everything cooled down in terms of your own sim rig. Have a little drink of one last sip of water, maybe a little snack just to keep going. It's a long old race. This one's 61 laps around this circuit. It's going to be absolutely draining. So wow, we're just waiting for Timo Suvik. There he goes. So we should be going once again to the grid very shortly. But just as we wait for the session to get underway once again. So this round, obviously round 2, San Marino Grand Prix. Next we'll be going to France. It's our Factor man. We all love him. And then Silverstone for round 4. Followed by Spa for round 5, and then the Italian Grand Prix at Monza for round 6. Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka for round 7, and rounding off is in Australia, I believe that is Adelaide. There we go. So that'll be the final round, the start of next year. So plenty to look forward to in this season of racing. We are in for a treat, especially if the last race is anything to go by, and we'll see exactly how well this race goes as well. Looks like unfortunately we've lost Suvik again, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with the race now, as obviously don't want to keep restarting the session for everybody who can keep their connection to the server. Obviously we want everybody who is present this evening to get the opportunity to race, but then we'll have to wait and see. We'll see what the admins decide here. You got everybody on the grid once again. It looks like we might be starting without Suvik here. As we get going on our formation lap once again. So unfortunately, it looks like we have lost one car before the race even begins, but that does promote everybody behind Vladislav Zenkov up into upper place. So Russell into second position, Borwick in third, Poles in fourth, and Stepanenko in fifth. So as the formation lap gets underway once again, to let you know, if you want to get involved in the series or any of the other series, they do a lot of open wheel racing here at ASRC. If you want to get involved in any of that, I believe links to the Discord are in the description below. Really nice bunch of guys, and will be absolutely ecstatic if you were looking to join in. They do, obviously, this season. There is a Formula 1 2022 season as well, which follows along with, I believe, the real life season, and then a Formula 3 championship, which is ongoing as well. Big grid of drivers in that one, so a lot of fun. So coming to the end of the second formation lap here, with one less driver, unfortunately, but we'll see what Borwick and Poles and also Russell can do with their improved position. Borwick is looking at, he's going to be on the second row, but he is going to have clear road ahead of him, because I don't think he will be promoted. I don't think anybody's going to be promoted up a grid slot, because that will be set already, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, he's going to have open road. If he gets a decent start, he might be able to jump Russell coming into turn one. Well, not turn one, it'd be into the first braking zone, which is be turn 3. So there's plenty of opportunity to make positions after a bad start here, because there is no braking zone. From the start finish line, there is no braking zone until you get to Tosa, which is turn 3, which is a significant portion of the lap. So if you can get a decent run, you will have to defend coming into the braking zone. So see the grid form up now for the start of round 2 of the ASRC 1993 Formula 1 Championship. Minus, unfortunately, Suvic, but we are about to get underway. The revs start to rise, the nerves and the adrenaline start to rise, the lights go on, and we're underway very quickly there. It's a decent start from the back of the goal. There's contact! Big contact! That's Vesa there, who's lost his front wing, but it's a decent start from the Benetton in front. It looks like there's a little bit of squabbling going on behind there, as we have Stepanenko, who made a fantastic start side by side for the lead, very close to going off. It was Lee Russell. He managed to save it somehow, dives down on the inside and gets the pole position. It's a switchback manoeuvre from Zenkov as they come up the hill now, and it's still Lee Russell in the lead. That was an absolutely monumental dive from Russell there, and he manages to keep the lead going into Sector 2 on the first lap. Oh, Stepanenko's gone off. Looks like, yeah, Stepanenko has gone off and has lost a position there to Moriska Morza, who from the back of the grid up into third position. So a monumental start once again for him. Jacob Kowalski, who was someone who had a grid penalty as well, he is up into sixth position, and he is fighting with Dale Borwick, who didn't have the best start of Borwick's round and Kowalski's round as well. Contact. Oh no, that's Stepanenko. I thought he's got no rear wing. What on earth has happened here? Oh, he's gone. He didn't realise he didn't have a rear wing. No downforce, and that just sends him into the barriers. So it's terribly unfortunate. Oh, as we see Carsten Poles trying to get past him there. This is absolutely disastrous for the Ferrari here. Back to the lead of the race here. We see Zenkov chasing down once again Lee Russell. Lost position at the start to the monumental dive from Lee Russell. Fantastic move from the McLaren driver, and he is going to have Moriska Morza all over the back of them in the next couple of laps. We see the slipstream taking effect here. We're right on board now with Zenkov as he goes side by side. It's going to be on the outside of Tosa into the braking zone. Doesn't get that done. Can he get the switchback? No. Lee Russell parks that in the apex perfectly and holds on to the position for the time being. Fantastic defensive manoeuvre there from Russell, but this fight is nowhere near over. Oh, it's down the inside, looking at Zenkov. That door was always going to close. He goes and has a half spin and gets the car back underway. Manages to avoid Scamorza as well. Yeah, that door was always going to close there for the Benetton driver. Not really an overtaking opportunity at the top of the hill, but he is able to continue. He's in third position at the moment. He's going to have Tony Gonzalez in the Minardi in fourth position, chasing him down. Oh, all over the curbs there with Zenkov, not the tightest laps there from the Benetton driver. But plenty of time to recover. Here we got Jake Kowalski, who's made his way into 5th position. He's a little bit of dead kind of no man land here as he looks to chase down Mitzalis. So keep an eye on the yellow flag in sector 3. Keep an eye on that. That seems to disappear fairly quickly. So not entirely sure how accurate that will be when it comes to the everything, but everybody back in the race. Nick Stepanenko, unfortunately, a lap down, but he is fighting for position. He is still in the race here. He's got Vladislav Zenkov, I believe, yep, in the Benetton coming down to him. So yeah, blue flags to contend with. Gap to the front is starting to decrease here. On this lap, Scamorza was about a 10th quicker through sector 1. He's about half a second quicker in the last lap through sector 3. So Scamorza here is flying in the door, and he's going to be closing very quickly on Lee Russell. So McLaren's going to have company very soon. 127.8 was the last lap for the number 15 car. You can see it on your screen, and 128.2 from McLaren ahead. Gap at about 1.7 seconds as I come into the first of 2 Rivazza corners. Yellow flag in sector 2. Keep an eye. That looks like it's cleared itself. No issues there. Zenkov goes purple in sector 2 here, so he's going to be starting his charge. He's about 5 seconds behind Scamorza here, but this is where it's going to get interesting now. It looks like he just might be out of slipstream range as we see a new best time there come through for Scamorza. Trading fastest laps of these 2 drivers at the moment. But yeah, he's not quite in slipstream range here of the McLaren, so he's going to have to hold back and try and recover some time. 126.5 goes Vladislav Zenkov, so he is absolutely flying as well. So let's keep an eye on this battle here. Yellow flag sector 3, I don't think that's anything to worry about. Yep, gap is remaining constant at the moment, so we'll see when it comes to around to it, we'll see what kind of tyres everybody's on. I believe everyone would probably start on the soft tyres. I think possibly Borweg might have started on the medium tyres if I'm not mistaken. Sector 2 is where, sector 3, sorry, is where Scamorza is much quicker than Lee Russell here. They were relatively similar, 16.2, 16.2, 27.6, 27.5, so not too far off each other, but the gap really comes down. It's gone down by about half a second now in sector 3, so Scamorza can really throw the car in. Cross line there, 26.9 compared to 27.2 from Lee Russell. So, yeah, the gap is starting to come down. Still not quite within slipstream range. Vladislav Zenkov as well is just starting to eke that gap down just a little bit. So this is nowhere near over yet. Top 3 cars all on soft tyres. I was mistaken with Mitzalis in 4th position on the mediums, and Poles as well in 7th position in the Rus. The tiniest of sector to Akman there for Scamorza, but he is still quicker by about 0.2 of a second through there. Coming to the 3rd sector where we see so far where Scamorza is stronger. Gap is less than a second now, so this is where Scamorza is going to capitalise. Coming into Rivazza now. He's going to have slipstream all along the start finish straight, a little bit wide there from Lee Russell. I think he was just about managed to keep the momentum. Throwing it through the final chicane here. Heavy braking onto the start finish straight. Gap down to 0.7 of a second. And that's going to just fall away as the slipstream comes into effect here. We'll keep it on board with Scamorza now as he comes through Tamburello for the 6th time. gap isn't coming down as quickly as I thought it would. I don't think the slipstream is quite as strong as it could be here. Looks like Lee Russell might be just using a little bit less downforce possibly, but through the third corner, the gaps come right down here. It's under half a second now into Acqua Minerale. Look how close Scamosa is getting here. This fight is right on now. Into Variante Alta, nowhere to go through here. It's very much one line throughout most of the first and second sector. Very tricky to overtake around Imola, even in the late 80s, as we can see. Going through Ravazza, best opportunity to overtake is going to be through turn 3. If you can get past the car ahead before Tosa, using the slipstream, but even then it's going to be quite tricky. But this is going to be the best opportunity that Scamosa has had so far. Right on board with him once again. Didn't get the best of exits out of the final corner, but he is well within the slipstream range. When you see the car starting to close in now, gaps down to 0.3 of a second, just over 2 tenths now. It's going to be really close coming into Tosa. Absolutely nowhere for Scamosa to go. Fantastic defensive work there from Lee Russell to keep the position for the time being. But I can only sense this is going to be temporary for Lee Russell here. He's going to have to do defending for his life to keep the Jordan off him for that amount of time. Within that as well, we've got Vladislav Zenkov, who's going to be looking to recover from his earlier issues. He's going to be closing in as well, so the more that they battle, the closer that he is going to get. So the Benetton does have an opportunity now to challenge for the top positions. Still plenty of time in this race to go though, so what does Scamosa do? Does he continue to push and try and get past the McLaren, or does he just sit back and think, okay, I can use some of the slipstream to save some fuel, possibly save some tyres by not pushing as hard? Or do you just try and get past and just use the pace you have and go for it? So we'll have to wait and see what he decides to do. From the looks of it so far, it is going to be push until you can no longer find your way through. Gaps back up to half a second, but that's going to come right back down as we go into Tamburello for the 8th time. 7 positions gained for Scamosa. He had an absolutely blinding start from the back of the grid. Through Villeneuve, breaking now into Tosa. Once again, Russell just able to hold that gap. I think he might be running a little bit less downforce than Scamosa. He does seem to have some pretty decent top end in that McLaren. Fastest lap still belonging to Vladislav Zenkov, who set 1:26.571. So, oh, he's gone off! Lee Russell's gone off. He made a mistake. Looks like he got caught up on one of the curbs and just dropped it. So you have to do a really wide turn to get back on the road. He's managed to carry on in 3rd position, but that's absolute disaster for the McLaren driver. So what started with fantastic defensive work just turned into absolute disaster for the number 7. So he's got some work to do. He's got lost about 7.5 seconds there, so he's got a lot to do. Unfortunately, Carsten Poles looks like he has retired from the race. Not entirely sure what was the cause of that, but that is unfortunate for the LaRousse driver. Here we have Kowalski and Mitzalis in a battle here. Gaps are about 0.7 of a second coming through the final couple of corners. We're right on board with the sister McLaren, who seems to be having a slightly better race so far than Lee Russell, but that could all change. He's a little bit far back at the moment here is Kowalski to make any moves. Gaps under half a second now. See if he's going to send it. Mitzalis is going to defend. He leaves the inside way open, but just about keeps it clear. Oh, he locks up, does Mitzalis. Can Kowalski get the undercut? No, he cannot. But this battle is nowhere near over, as we see Mitzalis defending. It's nearly side by side, coming up the top of the hill. The McLaren goes through. What a fantastic move from Kowalski that was at the top of Peratella to get the move done, and that is him up into 4th. He's now going to be chasing down his teammate in the sister McLaren, Lee Russell, who is about 8.5 seconds up the road. Scamoza starting to pull away from Vladislav Zenkov here. He was about 1/10 of 2/10 quicker so far in this lap. He's gone purple in sector 2. Let's see what his lap times could be here. 126.799 and a 126.799, 127.005. So about 2/10 of a second quicker. You can see the live gap there. About 3.5 seconds extended to about 4 seconds between the two cars. So it's looking okay for Scamoza so far, who came from the back of the grid and is now leading by lap 10. So fantastic effort so far. So Stepanenko looks like he's in the pits once again. He's missing his front wing. So that's unfortunate for the Ferrari driver. He's had an absolute shocker of a race, unfortunately. So we'll see if he can get back underway. But yeah, not been a good start to this race for the Ferrari of Nick Stepanenko. Delborg here is chasing down the Minardi of Tony Mitsalis. I think it's a Minardi anyway. He is about 2.5 seconds behind. So he's looking to move himself into the top 5. He's currently in points paying position, but obviously he wants to take as much as he can from this race. Look at that, the gap is coming down ever so slightly. So we'll keep an eye on this battle as that starts to develop. Looks like Zenkov had a bit of a scruffy lap last time around, 128.06. So that's put him over 5 seconds behind the leader. So Scamoza looking comfortable at the top of the field at the moment, with a handy 51 laps of this race to go. He is back in the race and is able to continue on, but he is 2 laps down from the next car, Carl Vesser, so he's got some work to do, unfortunately, if he wants to get anything out of this evening. Gap staying about 2.5 seconds here, as we have 50 laps to go in this race between Tony Mitsalis and Dale Borweg. Back to the top of the field here, we have Scamoza, who has done an absolutely stellar job to go from P8 on the grid, or P9 actually, to first position, gaining 8 places. Most of those coming from the first lap, so he had an absolutely stellar run, managed to avoid some of the carnage off the start-finish line. Not entirely sure what caused that. It looks like could have possibly been Carl Vesser, I could be wrong though, or possibly Carsten Poles getting a bad start, causing concertina effect and some damage from everybody involved, and luckily Scamoza was able to just scoot around all of it, and he is now sitting comfortably in the lead of the race, going about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Vladislav Zenkov, especially on that last lap. So So absolutely nothing challenging the Jordan driver for the time being. As we do say that, Zenkov does go quickest. He has just set a fastest lap of 126.281, which is about half a second quicker than the lead car. So is the Benetton starting to come into its own in the kind of second half of this stint? Possibly. We'll have to see if what happens. Possibly Scamorza backing off, just saving some tyres and saving a bit of fuel, saving a bit of pace in case he needs it, but we'll wait and see. Relatively equal through the first sector where both these drivers, and again looks like Zankov was about 4/10 quicker this time round, so the gap's starting to come down once again. Sparks flying off the underside of the car as the suspension dips. As hard as the suspension is, it's still going to have a little bit of give. And you see the underside of the car sparking away. That's something I do missing from the old days of Formula 1, the absolute shower of sparks that came off these cars. But yeah, it looks like Zenkov's starting to turn the wick up here. 126.309, which was his last lap, and that's compared to 126.944 to Scamorza. So there will be some pit stops for tyres. I would be surprised if any of these guys could get the soft tyres towards anywhere near half race distance at least, especially with the speed that they are pushing at the moment. So we should start to see some stops. I would suspect in about 5 to 10 laps time, but we'll keep an eye on that one. What kind of time is here? Looks like this is the closest battle we have for the time being. Charlie Mitzalis did miss it, so he has lost out to Dale Borweg, so Dale now up into 5th position in the Mugen Honda, and he's going to try and chase down the McLaren of Jacob Kowalski, who is not really making any inroads on his teammate, unfortunately. Started about 8.5 seconds back, and it's dropped to about 9 seconds now, so similar pace it looks like between the two McLarens, so nothing, no inter-team battles going on at the moment. We see Jacob there getting very comfortable with some of the curbs. Back to the lead battle then, back with Zenkov, who is he's dropped back slightly now from Scamorza in this lap. They were pretty much identical first sector times. He was quicker on the last lap in the final sector, but let's see, purple in sector 2 goes Scamorza, so he is on it once again. It's only 2/10 quicker than Zenkov, so he's not pulling away dramatically. Looks like the Benetton is starting to come into its own in this kind of second phase of the stint. The setup on the Benetton could possibly favour some used tyres, or it's a little bit easier on the tyres. As we see there, that's Nick Stepanenko getting well out of the way of the Benetton there. Oh, that's Stepanenko off in the background. I just see him, it looks like he possibly got on the throttle a little bit too quickly, and that is him off once again. He has to be a bit careful of the McLaren there. Needs to get out of the way, just dives over the curves to try and stay out of the way of Lee Russell. So good work there from the Ferrari to stay out of the way. Hopefully that's not down to the floor too badly in that Ferrari. But personal best that last lap. Oh, that's Stepanenko going off again, looks like. I think he was possibly paying too much attention to his mirrors and not looking where he's going there, but he carries on regardless. But so yeah, as I was saying, personal best lap for Skamorza that last time around, 26.292. That's about 3/10 quicker than Vladislav Zenkov. So they're starting to somewhat trade pace at the moment. So the fastest laps, these two drivers. The fast lap race still sits with Vladislav Zenkov, but I don't think that will be for too much longer as Skamorza starts to find some more pace. Lap 16 now, coming up to lap 17. And we still have 8 cars running in this field. Fortunately, we lost Timon Suvic before the race could even begin. Looks like he's having some connection issues that has plagued him throughout the qualifying and the warm-up session, so unfortunately couldn't start the race. And we have also lost Carsten Pols as well in Larus. I'm not entirely sure what caused that, but unfortunate for him to not be able to complete this race. Vladislav Zenkov has gone quickest with a 1:26.021. So that was nearly 9/10 of a second quicker than Skamorza in that last lap. So absolutely flying is the Benetton. Anyways, here, I'll have a look at the battle here. Gap is around 5 seconds now, so once again, relatively... Oh, that's across the curbs there for Zenkov, so he'll be really careful he doesn't get some cut track warnings there. Yeah, relatively similar first sector times this time around. 16.2. And that's not counting the second sector there for Zenkov, because obviously he is off the track. Oh, sideways there, the tyres starting to overheat, I think, there. Drops quite far back from the Jordan driver. Coming into the final sector now. He's getting a little bit of time back though, he's really pushing. Have a look at the lap times. No, of course he's not showing because Zenkov went off on that last lap, but gap up to 5.6 seconds again. So yeah, unfortunate. It says Zenkov can't really pull anything together here. Looks like he does close a little bit in the braking zones, but yeah, let's just keep an eye on this battle as it evolves. Kowalski is starting to close in on Russell. The gap's down to about 7 seconds now. So the two McLarens are set to have a little bit of a fight here. Kowalski, who started from the very back of the grid due to grid penalties from incidents in round 1, doing a fantastic job. He's gained 6 positions and looking to gain even more and get himself onto the podium. Gap coming down once again to the lead. You see there that is the Williams of Calvesa ahead, followed by Nick Stepanenko just ahead of them, I believe. Come across the line now. What kind of lap time can Skamorza do? That's a 1:26.9 that time round. Let's see what Zenkov, 1:26.3, so 6/10 of a second quicker is the Benetton here. So Benetton looking good in the dying stages of the stint. Gap's still about 5 seconds though, so yeah, I'm not entirely sure where Zenkov's losing that pace, because he's on Skamorza's pace through the first and second sectors, but just can't. Because as we see the Ferrari off once again. Is that Stepanenko losing another front wing? It is. Oh, that is that's not ideal for the Ferrari drivers, and an absolute shocker of a race. Unfortunately, he just bounces across the curves, trying to get the car back to the pits. Yeah, all started with issues and losing a front wing on the second lap, I think it was. So, yeah, terrible look there for Stepanenko after a pretty solid result in the first race. So we'll hopefully see him recover in round 3. Here we are with Zenkov once again. Glowing brakes, you can see there coming through Vatsa. through the second of last now. The gap is down to about 4.5 seconds now, so this is getting interesting. We'll see some lap traffic ahead there for Morris Scamosa. Have a lap times as they compare: 27.1 for the 15 car ahead, 26.1 for the Benetton. So 1 second quicker was Zenkov the last time round. Breaking into Tosa now. Gap staying at around 4 seconds. Once again, the lap time's pretty well. The sector 1 time's pretty much identical between the two drivers. 16.205 for Scamosa, and then Zenkov was 16.239. So less than a tenth between the two through the first sector. See what the times are like in the second sector. 27.4 for the Jordan, 27.3 for the Benetton. So times are starting to fall the way of Zenkov here. Gap's down to 3.5 seconds, as I think Scamosa is meeting some lap traffic. See what the sector 3 times give, and the final lap time show as well. Right on board for just a little minute with Zenkov as he comes into the pits. Interesting. So as you'll notice, there is no pit lane speed limit in this series. As we see Zenkov in the pits now, he's going to put some new tyres on. Obviously, you can't refuel in this series. And back underway. That's a pretty quick pit stop. Still in second position, and plenty of a gap there. So, what does Scamosa do here? Does he react, or does he just continue on with his strategy? Are they both on strategy? We'll have to wait and see. Did see that Scamosa was a bit quicker in the starting kind of stint now on fresh tyres, but we'll see how this plays out. Looks like he loses about 11 or so seconds in the pit lane here. Nowhere near as much as it would be if there was a pit lane speed limit. But look at the gap there, just tumbling down there. Zenkov is absolutely flying. He was over a second quicker in that one sector, so Scamosa has to react here. He's losing time dramatically over the Benetton. See him come through the final corners now. Does he dive into the pit lane? No, he does not. He carries on. So this could be make or break here for Scamosa. Wants to try and eke those tyres out as long as he can. Lap 22 now. We've got 40 laps to go. Kowalski in the pits as well. Borgatelli and Mitzalis are having a battle as well. We'll keep an eye on this one. Half second between the two. I was right on board with Mitzalis here as he chases down the Mugen Honda. Through Variante Alta there. There's a little bit of time there, does Tony Mitzalis, but this battle continues on. Zenkov going back onto a set of softs, so it looks like it's going to be softs all the way unless anything changes. Oh, a bit wide there goes Borweg. That's going to put the ball right into Mitzalis' court here. 0.3 of a second. He's not going to be able to find a way around in the final corner, and there goes Borweg into the pit lane. So that battle over for the time being. Back to your lead battle now. Zenkov now chasing down. The gap's down to 11 seconds. He's absolutely flying on those new tyres. Surely Scamosa has to react here. He's not. He's carrying on. He's got lap traffic of Nick Stepanenko to deal with once again. That last time was 128.065 for Scamosa, and then 124.867 for the Benetton. So he is absolutely ragging that thing on the new tyres, tumbling lap times now as the fuel starts to burn off. That was a whole 3.2 seconds quicker. And it's going purple again in the first sector. So Scamosa has to react here, surely. Unless he's hoping he can just eat those tyres out that little bit longer. Maybe go into an alternate strategy. Maybe to pull a one-stop. Who knows? Put some hard tyres on, try and go to the end, but that could hurt him in terms of overall pace. I don't know what the strategy will be here. So yeah, it's only guesswork for the time being. But the gap is tumbling here. Keeping an eye on Scamosa once again as he comes into the final sector. Through Variante Bassa, he continues on once again, does Scamosa, so clearly doesn't see the lap. He's on to something, Scamosa. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that could be an early stop for Zenkov, really pushing, maybe going aggressive, quick strategies. Getting as much as he can out of those soft tyres and just bolting on some new ones. We'll have to wait and see. But Scamosa going purple in sector 1, which is interesting to say the least. Zenkov goes fast. He's about 0.3 of a second quicker through the first sector. So the initial pace of the Benetton starting to slow up a little bit now. Gap is hovering at around 8.5 seconds to 9 seconds. Not the tidiest of Variante Altas there for Scamosa. Only a tenth slower in the second sector though, coming into the final sector now into Ravazza. We've seen that Scamosa is quick through this sector, but Zenkov has the fresher tyres. The gap's dropped down to about 8 seconds just under now. Carries on for another lap, so yep, really pushing those tyres out is the Jordan driver. Lap 25, it's not even half distance yet. It's been a very interesting race. 1.5 seconds quicker was Zenkov once again on that lap. 7.5 seconds is the gap. Oh, who's that off there? I think that's is that Stepanenko off once again. It is. He's having an absolutely torrid race. Poor Stepanenko. Really not enjoying himself. 6 laps down off the next car, and yeah, not having a good one. Hopefully he can recover for the next race though. Back to your lead battle. Gap's under 7 seconds now. 6.7 seconds on this count. Sector times once again. Scamosa's quicker in sector 1 by a tenth, but loses out by about 4 tenths in sector 2. So not quite as quick. Quickly catching now is Zenkov. He's super quick in the final sector. The gap's nearly 6 seconds into the final couple of corners. Scamosa carries on once again, so he's really dragging those tyres out. 26.7 for your leader and 25.3 for Zenkov. So gap just hovering around 6 seconds. Scamosa has to react here, surely. Those soft tyres must be absolutely shot. He is going for less pit stops, he must be, than Zenkov. So we'll see how that strategy plays out for him. Obviously, if you go for the more tyre saving approach, you obviously spend a lot less time in the pit lane, but does that equate, or does that save you enough time for the lack of pace that the other cars around you may have who are going on more aggressive tyre strategies? This is what we'll see come towards the end of this race. We're just coming towards the end of the first half of this race, to about 26 out of 61. Manager once again of the non-finish. So unfortunately we'd had Timur Suvic, who did not start the race with some connection issues, and Carsten Poles has retired as well. He retired quite a few laps ago now, but you can see how much the gap has visibly decreased between these cars now. Gap is less than 4 seconds coming over the line. Once again, it was 2 seconds quicker then, was Zenkov, and all that time coming through pretty much the final sector is a full second and a half quicker through the final sector. So absolutely storming is that Benetton, riding on board with him here into Tosa. You can see how much confidence he has there. Is just about puts the back end out. The top of the hill at Piratella now. Once again, Scamozza is able to maintain the gap through the first sector, so it is possible that Zenkov's running just had a little bit more downforce, which is going to hurt him in the top end. But yeah, look at that, 27.3 for Scamozza in the second sector, 26.7 in the second sector for Zenkov. So yeah, the gap is tumbling under 3 seconds as we go into the final few corners. Oh, that's a big wobbly moment there for Zenkov. He manages to just about hold on to it. It doesn't look like he's lost that much time either. He's lost a few tenths, but he is absolutely flying in that McLaren. Able to get the car stopped here, coming onto the start-finish line. See what times are. 1:26.4 for the Jordan, 1:25.1. So again, over a second quicker. You can see how much that gap has come down. You can see that Jordan just about in the distance there. That is what, 2.5 seconds. That's close to 200 miles. Looks like 200 miles an hour. Looks like. Breaking into Tosa once again. This is where the Benetton is going to start to reel in. Look at the gap closing down. You couldn't see that earlier. I don't know how Scamozza has managed to hold these tyres on for so long, but he's doing an absolutely stellar job of keeping that car on the road. Those tyres must be absolutely ruined. See, yeah, flying in sector 3. I don't think there's anything to worry about. So Kowalski has made his pit stop, and Versa has as well, but and also obviously Zenkov. That's everybody so far. So looks like everyone's going on a bit of a less aggressive strategy, as most of the drivers are doing. So we'll see what the best strategy is towards the end of the race. Lap 28 is just about completed now. As you can see, once again, the gap is nearly under a second. Obviously no DRS at this point in Formula 1, so it's all going to be done through slipstream and just driving. As you see, Zenkov had a bit of a poor exit coming out of the final corner, so that's affected him all the way down the straight. And we know that the Jordan is slightly better in a straight line than the Benetton, but this is where Zenkov's starting to pull it back now. How long can those soft tyres last? He is pushing super hard. The lap times are starting to creep back up. It's only half a second quicker that last lap there than Scamozza. He's going to start to have to contend with some dirty air from the Jordan as well, which is going to hamper his progress. So Scamozza is just going to be hoping for the time being that he can just keep the Benetton behind until he can pit and just gain the time back that way, possibly. But it's going to be quite the task to do. 1.4 seconds is the gap now coming into Ravazza. .2 seconds coming into the chicane at the end of the lap. The gap's under a second now. You can see how much more time, much more speed the Benetton can take through that final chicane. We'll have a look at the onboard here and we'll see, hopefully, the Jordan just start to creep closer. He's Not quite within the slipstream range, it seems. But he is absolutely throwing that car through the twisty section here. Lap times that time around 1:26.3 for Scamorza, 1:25 for Zenkov. So just under a second quicker. But look at that! Look how much time he's gained through the second sector. Absolutely unbelievable pace on those fresh tyres. What does Scamorza do? Does he react now and do his pit, or does he hold him off? Try and use more of that tyre life and keep Zenkov behind. Gaps at 0.2 of a second. Oh, that's Scamorza, not Scamorza, that's Stepanenko going off once again in the Ferrari. His torrid race continues. 0.4 of a second now between these two drivers. We'll keep an eye on Scamorza. Does he come into the pit lane this time? He's got traffic ahead. He does not, he carries on. Oh, look for a move there, Zonko. That was never going to work out, but good try at least. Plus the heebie-jeebies into Scamorza. Slipstream, deep in the slipstream there is Zenkov. He's looking around the outside of Tamburello. He's on the grass coming out of Tamburello. No room to run out on the outside once again to Villeneuve. He's going to try and get the inside line into Tosa. Not able to get that there. Fantastic defensive manoeuvres and positioning from Scamorza, but the battle is far from over. We're right on board once again with the Benetton driver. Coming up to the top of the hill and up towards Acqua Minerale. Some lap traffic ahead that these two drivers will have to contend with. Gap of 0.3 of a second. Through Variante Alta, the gap 0.2 of a second. See how much more pace the Benetton can take through the corners on those fresh tyres. Down the inside, Rivazza, that's not going to work. You have to hope that the Jordan outbrakes itself. It doesn't. Through the second, Rivazza, and then on to the final corner on the circuit. Variante Bassa. Slightly tentative approach there from the Benetton. Uses as much power as he can, and now he's going to be well within slipstream range once again. Going to try and make a move down the inside of Tamburello. No. Scamorza blocks that. They're nearly touching coming out of Tamburello. Look at that. Scamorza just puts the car in the middle of the circuit, but there's an overlap. Zenkov has a move. No, not able to get that round Villeneuve. Nearly contact between the two. This is absolutely stellar defensive work from Scamorza. Just plants the car in the middle of the track. Makes it absolutely impossible for the Benetton to go anywhere. Looking towards the inside at the top of the hill. And Peritella, no such luck, and has to just sit behind the Jordan coming to Acqua Minerale as they have to deal with the lap traffic, which is also having a fight. That is Dale Borwick and Tony Metzales once again are having a battle. Those two are having a fantastic race between them, but we'll keep an eye on the lead battle for the time being. This is going to be absolutely burning through the tyre life that Zenkov has. Being tucked under the dirty air. Obviously, when you have dirty air like this, you lose a lot of downforce from the car, which means the mechanical group has to work harder. Oh, as Borwick goes a little bit wide there, that's holding up the leader, but that's going to give Scamorza a nice bit of slipstream coming down the start-finish straight. That's right on board with Zenkov again. That's Borwick out of the way. He dips from that particular battle. Around the outside, Tamburello just, there's a bit touch on the rear wing, on the front wing there. Gotta be careful, doesn't get a puncture. Looking down the inside of Villeneuve on the grass once again, not able to make that move. The door absolutely closed there by Scamorza. He's squeezing where he can. Oh, that's a big spin! Does he keep out the wall? Just a minor touch, so that is absolute disaster for Zenkov. Possibly gets a wheel on the grass on the exit of Tosa and just loops the car, and that is surely is a massive sigh of relief for Scamorza, who can run away and maintain the lead for the time being, as we see Tony Metzales and Dale Borwick battling once again. They're side by side. There's a rear wing off into the gravel there. I'm not entirely sure who that car, which car that's from. I could probably give a guess. But these two continuing their fantastic battle. Keep an eye on this one now. Let's ride on board with Tony Mitzalis in the Minardi. Oh, that's a massive incident! Oh, huge crash! That's 4 cars involved there. That is absolutely disastrous. That was your leader involved as well. Oh, look at that! It's Scamorza. He's off. He's upside down. He's got no rear wing. That's surely his race over. I think that was contact with Nick Stepanenko. That is absolutely disastrous. Can Scamorza get going? Stepanenko still in the road. I am absolutely speechless. Scamorza out. So once again, what could have been an absolutely fantastic result for Scamorza just thrown away by something that was absolutely not his control. We've got Dale Borwick coming into the pit lane. That car is surely done. They'll have some work to do to get that thing back underway. That's got no rear wing, no front wing, surely a lot of suspension damage. But that is Vladislav Zenkov into the lead. So that spin he has looks pretty inconsequential. Now absolute disaster. And that's 16-second gap he's got to Lee Russell, who is now in 2nd place. So Lee Russell's been gifted a fantastic position here from all of that. Cal Vesser, who is currently sat in 5th, he started last in the Williams. He's going to inherit 4th position, so he is back. He is now up into the points. Mitzalis is out. Dale Borwick is still in the pits, I'm assuming having repairs done. I have no idea if he's going to continue on, but that is half the field. I think, in one corner, that is absolute disastrous. With Kowalski, who again has been having a fairly lonely race. Looks like he's got some damage on the front of that McLaren. The nose of that car looks a little bit crumpled, so he possibly was involved in that incident. He is currently in 3rd, so a McLaren 1-2 here, which has been gifted to them, and that's really helped them in the standings. But I have no idea what happened in that incident. I just saw in the background as we were looking at Dale and Tony have their battle. Absolute chaos. It looks like I'm just guessing here, but there was a miscommunication between Stepanenko and Scamorza. Closing speeds were absolutely phenomenal. Contact between the rear wheels, and that just sent both of them into massive crashes, which sent Scamorza out of the bounds of the racetrack. Unfortunately, with absolutely nowhere to go, Borwick and Mitzalis got involved as well, and just that's ruined their races as well. So what could have been a fantastic finishing position for them is no longer going to happen for the time being. As we look at this now, though, Lee Russell he's just set fast as that, 124.663. About 14 seconds is the gap to the car ahead, which is Zenkov, who is coming into the pit. Oh, he spun in the pit lane. What's going on here? What on earth is happening in this race? Zenkov spins in the pit lane. He comes in for his 2nd stop. Lee Russell is going to inherit the lead. Unless Zenkov can get out ahead, he cannot. So that's a disaster for Zenkov. Once again, he's back out onto the track now. He's going to have no fight from Kowalski. He's onto soft tyres once again. What on earth's going on? Thankfully, we have Dale Borwick back underway, so all he's got to do now is finish the race, and he gets 2 points, which would be a small consolation for him, I'm assuming, but he's got quite a large gap to Cal Vesser now. But Kowalski 3 seconds behind Zenkov, who is on his outlap here. So we'll keep an eye on we'll keep an eye on everything here. We'll see who comes out where. 11 seconds between Lee Russell, who has inherited the lead after a Slightly bungled pit stop from Zenkov, but Zenkov is going to be absolutely flying on those soft tyres. We know how quick he is. Let's keep an eye on this one here. So Lee Russell, 10 seconds up the road. His last time was lap of 125.999. 126.185 for Zenkov, but that is an outlap. So, it's an outlap, it's only 0.2 slower, so yep, Zenkov is going to be absolutely flying. Gap 10 seconds, that is going to fall down, surely. So this is going to be the battle to watch here, is Zenkov versus Russell. Right on board with Russell. This is what it's like to lead the San Marino Grand Prix in a McLaren in 1993. Purple in Sector 2 goes Zenkov, 26.4, so that's half a second quicker than Lee Russell, who we're on board with. So once again, Lee Russell has the pace in the straights, it looks like, but does lose out more than that in the corners. About 10th quicker down in Sector 1, which is pretty much just full throttle. So across the line now. So 125.717 for the number 7 McLaren. Now cross line 124.2, that's a new fastest lap for Zenkov. That's a solid 1.5 seconds quicker. You can see that's going to be Kyle Vesser, who is in 4th position. Pretty interesting debut that Kyle has had, but I'm sure he will be happy to take away the points if he can finish in those positions. Still plenty of the race to go. Lap 38 of 61, and we are about to see, I think, Zenkov close in on a very, very aggressive tyre strategy on Lee Russell, who, according to the overlay here, has not stopped yet. So I'm not entirely sure how true that is, because it's showing Borwegger's not made a pit stop either yet. We did see that he did to make some repairs. So let's just refresh the overlay and see if that just shows anything different. It does not. So yeah, not entirely sure. But Zenkov is really good. 6.5 seconds now is the gap. He's really, really hustling that Benetton. You heard in the background there, that was Lee Russell, I believe, going across the start finish line. So I think we'll be able to audibly say, visibly see that McLaren very soon. Yeah, Kowalski not quite able to hold on to the back of Zenkov at the moment as we ride on board with him into Tosa. You can see how confident he is on the brakes here. Easily gets the car stopped and turned in. Through Acca Minerali now. Zenkov will want Kyle Vesser and the Williams there to get out of the way as quickly as possible. He doesn't want to be held up too much. Looks like he's lost a little bit of time. As he goes, never mind, he's gone purple in Sector 2, which is about 0.7 of a second quicker than Lee Russell. Through second Rivazza. And then through Varianti Bassa. Oh! Caught out there was Zenkov by Kyle Vesser there. And that has cost him a little bit of time to Lee Russell. So I'm sure that is starting to bring Jacob Kowalski back into the line. About 7 seconds now between the two of them. So that could have been a lot quicker there. 1:24. It's still 9/10 of a second quicker than your lead car. So Zenkov, we know how quick that car is on fresh tyres. Absolutely storming his way. He's clearly going for the aggressive strategy, possibly a 3 or maybe even a 4-stop strategy here. But being stuck behind Vesa is really going to be hampering his progress. There we go, Vesa finally gets out of the way. Pretty sure there would have been some hand gestures going on in the Benetton Ford there. Thankfully we can't see. But that has freed Zenkov now to chase down his rival. He's in a little bit of a McLaren sandwich here. The McLaren of... you can see the overlay's going a little bit mad because it keeps swapping between Zenkov and Russell having a fight. And also Kowalski. So it's close between the two. Only 3/10 was the difference there between the top two cars in terms of lap times that lap, and Kowalski only about half a second off that. So there's still a little bit of pace in the number 8 car there. So this could be getting fairly close towards the end of the race. See what lap times are like coming through sector 2 now. 27.1 for Lee Russell in first. And 26.5, so that's 6/10 of a second quicker through the second sector. Gap down to 5.7 seconds. We'll see what happens through sector 3. There you can see, just about in the distance, the McLaren. So Zenkov really is pushing and hustling that car, and he is getting even closer. Once again, we've seen all this before. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of what happened last time, but there he is. Oh, big wiggle there for Zenkov. Managed to hold on to it. Really throwing that car through the corners. 20 laps to go in this race, well over half distance now. So that's Kowalski in the pit lane. So let's keep an eye on that. We see him come in. Number 8 car, driven by Ant Senna in real life. And he's underway. Decent stop there for Kowalski. Back underway. Keeps his third position very comfortably. So we'll see what kind of pace he's got in these closing stages. Zenkov, I think, will have to pit again. So he's really got to start pushing here. Personal best through sector 1 for Lee Russell, but he is about 7/10 of a second, sorry, slower in sector 2. So Lee Russell really is under fire here. Gaps to 4 seconds now. Coming into Ravatsa is Zenkov. How long those tyres can last, that's what we need to ask here. And also where he would be if he hasn't made those small spins. You see that was Borweg there, just getting out of the way of our leader. 125.5 for Lee Russell. 124.7 for Zenkov. So the pace starting to drop off a little bit on those soft tyres for the Benetton, but he's still reeling in the McLaren. Once again with Zenkov, just that car ahead as you see go over the crest. That is your leader. I think I could actually know. That could be Borweg actually. Yep, the car ahead of that is your leader. Twisting and turning through. Paco Minerali there up the hill. Once again, over half a second quicker in sector 2 alone. Lee Russell seemed to, as Scamorza was doing earlier on in the race, able to gain about a tenth back through sector 1. As Zenkov looks like he is running just that little bit more downforce, which is hampering the top speed ever so slightly, but he more than makes up for it in sector 2 and 3. The other flag in sector 3, I'm not entirely sure what that one was for, but it's all cleared now. 3.4 seconds now is the gap. Another second closed in on the leader. What does Russell do here? Is he able to hold on like Scamosa did? Here goes Zenkov going around Borwick, very sensibly getting out of the way. 15.8 there was the first sector time. Helped out dramatically by the slipstream of the footwork car. The gap hovering at 3 seconds, just falling under 3 seconds as we come through some of the corners. Rally now up the hill. About half a second quicker again through sector 2 was Zenkov. Super consistent times from the Benetton driver here. He's doing a fantastic job of closing that gap and attacking McLaren. Should be at around 2.5 seconds by the end of the lap. There you can see once again Lee Russell is closing up to the front end of the Benetton. But I would expect both these drivers to make at least one more stop each. Kowalski has unfortunately dropped back. He's at about 26 seconds now. He could have possibly had a small mistake which has dropped him quite far back. We know he did have a pit stop, but that is a lot of time to lose. Once again, as we've seen for pretty much every lap, Russell manages to gain that 10th back through the first sector. Very consistent driving for both of these cars. Variante-Alta, I'll get that right eventually. Gaps hovering at around 2.5 seconds here. Zenkov still closing, but not at the same pace, so possibly those tyres starting to fall away from you slightly. Getting a little bit of dirty air coming from the back of the McLaren now, as we saw earlier with the Jordan. Into tow, so the gap's still remaining around 2.5, 2.4 seconds, so this is where we should see the Benetton start to close in now through sector 2. He's consistently been about half a second quicker than the McLaren through this stint. There we go, the gap, yeah, it's come down by about half a second, 26.9 for Russell, 26.4 for Zenkov. So, yeah, about half a second gain once again, gap is down to 1.9 seconds now. Once again, we'll ride on board with the Benetton and see how much closer visibly that McLaren is. So we'll see what Russell does here. Does he make an early pit? He probably will be able to get to the end of the race now on a set of soft tyres. Both these cars on soft tyres. 1.6 seconds is the gap now. Might just be getting some sniffs of a slipstream from McLaren, but nothing major. 0.8 of a second quicker was Zenkov that time. All that time just gained in the final sector, absolutely flying, and the second sector obviously. see that last lap 0.7 seconds quicker was Zenkov. Not the 2 seconds that it was earlier in the stint, but he's really still hustling that Benetton. Gap down to 1.5 seconds now. Through Arianti Alto. And then Carl Vesser out of nowhere going in there with a 1:23.860, so fantastic lap from him. Which, unfortunately, what could have been for Kyle. He's showing some decent pace, but just not able to hold it with the front of the field. He's about a lap behind Kowalski in third, so he should be happy to hold on to that position, I would seem. Through the final corner now. Gap of 1.6 seconds. Cross the line once again. Oh, Lee Russell slightly quicker on that lap than Zenkov. So possibly the dirty air really hurting Zenkov. He didn't get the best of exits out of the final corner. Tyres starting to go off. Possibly dirty air is really starting to affect the Benetton. So I wonder what we see Zenkov do here. He knows he's quick on a set of fresh tyres, so does he try and just hold on, just maintain the gap until he pits? Possibly follows Russell into the pits, and if Russell does pit again, I wouldn't be entirely sure. But that time's fairly similar at the moment. They're training about a 10th each sector. Yeah, what does Zenkov do here? Does he continue to push and possibly make a mistake, as he did that with Scamorza earlier? Into Relazza now. We'll see if any of these drivers decide to pit. It will be the last pit stop that they make, scheduled pit stops wise. If they come in now, no pit stops for either driver. Oh, big moment there for Zenkov. Gets the car under control and carries on, but that's going to hurt his chances. You can tell the tyres starting to go off on the Benetton as he struggled there. He just got a little bit too much curb and the car just did not want to grip. A lifeline thrown the way of Lee Russell there in the McLaren, as he wants to hold on to this position for the remaining 10 or so laps and claim his first win of the season and strengthen the position that McLaren has in the standings. So if things were to finish as they are, Zenkov would finish with 6 points, which would put him on to 10 points, and then Russell would be on 12 points, so he would take over, no, he would not quite take over the lead of the championship, put him up into second, and P3 would be Kowalski, who would P3, Kowalski, he would go up to 14 points. So my maths really failing me there as we continue on. Zenkov again, half a second quicker on that lap, but not able to make the moves really at all at this stage. Just a reminder once again of the running order. We have only, unfortunately, 5 cars running on circuit after a enormous crash we had early on in the race. We had Scamorza involved, Stepanenko involved, Dave Borweg and Tony Gonzalez as well. Took all of them apart from Dale Borweg out of the race completely with a catastrophic accident. Carsten Poles unfortunately retired early on in the race with, I believe, some technical issues. So on as well earlier in the race. He didn't even start, unfortunately, in the sister Benetton. There's lots of smoke coming from Russell's car. Oh, he's on fire! He's blown his engine! Oh, that's disaster for Lee Russell! car bursts into flames. He pulls over. That is race over. So running the engine too hot there, or possibly some gear shifts causing a catastrophic failure of the engine. Some interesting effects there. So that promotes Vladislav Zenkov into the lead of the race, and now put Kowalski into second, and Karl Vesa, who started from absolutely nowhere on the grid, that would promote him into third. I can imagine that Lee is not going to get anywhere near getting that thing going again. The fire goes out, a lot of black smoke from the car, but that is his race over and done with, unfortunately. See Karl Vesa come through to unlap himself there. I think Lee will have to just admit defeat there, get himself out of the road and back to the pits. That car, I've never seen a car on fire that much and restart. So yeah, that'll be unfortunately his race done. But here's your de facto leader once again, Vladislav Zenkov. Pressure's off him now. He's got 10 more laps after he completes this one to bring home the win. He's got 25 seconds over Jacob Kowalski. So that would put Zenkov into the lead of the championship, I do believe. No, it wouldn't. Apologies. It would be. It would still be Kowalski, as he would go on to 16 points, and Zenkov here would go on to 14. So absolute disaster for Lee Russell there. He's still sat on the road trying to get the car going, but that's giving absolutely nothing in that car after that catastrophic failure. I did see some smoke coming from the back of the car, and it just, as soon as I looked at it, it was plumes of smoke and fire billowing from the engine casing of the McLaren. So yeah, terrible look for the McLaren driver here. And there he goes into the pits. That is his race over and done with. But here's your new podium sitter, Karl Vesa. He's just driven his own race and is sitting pretty for a podium in his debut in the series. So fantastic result for him. Dale Borg as well is going to appreciate, I think, getting another position as well after the unfortunate retirement for Lee Russell, but Dale Borg has been in his own wars, trundling back to the pit lane after that catastrophic incident between him, Mitsalis, Scamorza and Stepanenko. No rear wing, no front wing, bent suspension, bent everything, and yeah, the Fort Worth mechanics doing a fantastic job to get that car back on the road and looking as fantastic as it does. Ten laps remaining in the San Marino Grand Prix as your leader Vladislav Zenkov in the Benetton is coming through Villanova into Tosa now for the 53rd time of asking. And what an eventful race this has been once again. It's not been the biggest of grids, only 9 cars at the start, but there's been action throughout. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see much more action as everybody is split by a good few seconds now. Oh, there's a bit of an incident there, bit of a moment for Zenkov. We were watching him go around, bouncing over the curbs. That's going to allow Kowalski to just close up ever so slightly. But nothing too consequential for the Benetton driver here. Kowalski driving his own race. Looks like he did have some minor dealings with another car earlier on in the race. He's got some damage, possibly from that massive collision involving Scamorza and Stepanenko. Can't be too sure though. But he has just driven his own race and is looking to benefit from a nice tasty second position, which would keep him the lead in the championship. And then Karl Vesa in third position, as we said, has once again just driven his own race. He's been relatively quick. I mean, he holds the fastest lap so far. Yeah, just by avoiding trouble, he has managed to get himself into the podium position. into Ackerman and Rowley now. Comes your leader, Zenkov. He's driven an absolutely blinding race. A couple of mistakes here and there, a spin in the pit lane, a spin when he was fighting with Scamorza earlier on. But yeah, his pace has been undeniable. Extremely quick, extremely consistent. And all he's got to do now is just bring it home for the final 6 or so laps of the race. And that will be his first win of the season. He definitely has just backed off because Kowalski is starting to close. He's about 2 seconds a lap quicker, but he is going to run out of laps. He's about 20 seconds back, so unless there is a mistake from Zenkov, this is going to be his to lose now. Big props to Dale Borwick though, he is continuing on and is going to get a small lock up there. We'll pretend we didn't see that, Dale. Yeah, he's going to get some decent points after what was quite the not the best race for Dale through no fault of his own, getting involved in incidents that just couldn't avoid, but bringing home some decent points for the footwork team. Pointless so far in the season are Footwork and Dale, but finishing 4th would give him 3 points. That would bump him up a few spots in the table, up to at least 5th. I believe. Yes, it would. At a time with Stepanenko, who had a terrible race, not finishing with any points so far. Well, we won't finish with any points tonight, so decent result there for Dale if you can get that done. Kowalski there doing a stunning job to kind of close on the leader. 18 seconds is the gap now. He's gaining his time, looks like in sector 2. 25.7 was last lap time for Zenkov, and 24.3 for Kowalski, which was a personal best, only 10th off the personal best of Zenkov. So Zenkov nursing those tyres home now. The pace really has dropped off, but he does have the gap to spare for now. We'll wait and see. He is going, if he does have to make another pit stop, if the tyres don't last that long, then he is going to leave himself vulnerable to Kowalski here. But if he can just, because he doesn't have to push anymore, he can just nurse those tyres towards the end of the race. Doesn't need to push. He's got the opportunity just to chill out. So we'll see how it goes. Another second down now. Kowalski really has nothing else to lose here. He's a whole lap ahead of Kyle Vesa, so the only thing holding him back, possibly some reliability issues if he's pushing the engine too hard. We know you can do that because Russell unfortunately shows in a very spectacular fashion what happens, I think, if you push the engine a little bit too hard, run it a bit too hot. So he'll have to keep a mind on that for the time being, but he is really hustling that McLaren in the last stage of the race. He wants to try and push the car. 16 seconds is the gap, but only 5 laps to go. It's going to be a tough ask, and I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to do it unless Zenkov makes a mistake. But with the pace he is at the moment, he is just cruising the car now. Sparks coming from the car, under braking, but he has got a comfortable gap. Zenkov done a fantastic job of nursing those soft tyres, filling the Scamorza shoes in the latter stages of the race. Really pushed the tyres as he just struggles to get the car out of gear there and onwards, but no harm done. 4 laps to go now as Zenkov comes across the line. Yeah, as I was saying, he's really kept a hold of those tyres. I was assuming he would need to pit again at some point as he was chasing down Russell, but no need after the unfortunate end to Russell's race. I think it was a big relief for Zenkov not having to make that extra pit stop. But he is just cruising now. 1:26.3 was his last lap time. That is compared to 1:24.6 from Kowalski, who is starting to push. Trying to close that gap, so if there is any issue he can capitalise, but I don't think it'll be enough for the time being. But there's still plenty of time in this race for anything to happen. Under 13 seconds is a gap now between first and second place. I would say this has been a bit of a race of attrition, but considering I think 4 cars are taken out in one incident, I don't think that is fair to say. Obviously, you need to avoid the incident if you want to finish strong, but I think for most of it was unavoidable. Stepanenko, unfortunately, having a torrid race going off constantly, so possibly some issues that we're unaware of on that side, but. He was pretty much out of the race before it began, so terrible luck for him. Hopefully he can come back a little bit stronger in the next round, which will be at Manicourt in France in 2 weeks' time. .11.5 seconds is the gap between the top 2 cars now, as Zenkov once again clatters the curbs at Aquaminerale. Got to 10 seconds now. Kowalski really is pushing. If Zenkov does come into the pit lane now, then that would put Kowalski into the lead, but he really doesn't need to. He just needs to hold on for 2 more laps onto those tyres. So, unless there is an issue, this is going to be it. Fastest lap still sits with Kyle Besa. Let's keep a little eye on him. We've not had too much camera time, but he's had a pretty quiet race and has got a decent result out of it. So he's currently cruising as well. 27.5 was the last lap time, so not really pushing. Doesn't need to. He's got a lap on Dale Borwick, and he's a lap behind Kowalski as well, so just needs to get this car to the end now. These final 2 laps around San Marino Grand Prix. Kowalski, he is not cruising. He is really pushing that car towards the end now. Under 10 seconds. He wants to capitalise on any errors or mistakes or issues that Zenkov does have, because that could lead him to a surprise second win. But braking there, a little bit of luck up there into Aquaminerale, but no harm done. Continues on. Gap is nearly under 9 seconds. Heading on to the final lap shortly is Vladislav Zenkov in the Benetton Ford. Providing nothing bad happens, that should be a pretty solid win for the Benetton driver. Coming through Tamburello for the final time. And then through Villeneuve, breaking into Tosa. top of the hill of Piratella, and no issues there, braking into Aqua Minerale. Absolutely, it's been a convincing drive from Zenkov. He's had the pace throughout, a couple of minor mistakes which have, luckily for him, not amounted to too much after the issues, but the story of what could have been for other drivers, I'm sure Lee Russell, I'm sure he would have loved the opportunity to defend. Scamorza as well wanted to use some of that pace to show he is a challenger in this championship, but not for the time being. Kowalski, strong effort to try and close the gap in this dying stage of the race, but wasn't enough. Through the final corner comes Vladislav Zenkov to win round 2 of the ASRC 1993 Formula 1 season. Convincing win there in San Marino. Kowalski comes over the line in second place, and then Kyle Vesser, who is just a little bit further back now. He is going to come over the line in third position on his debut in the series. So a strong start for him. I'm sure we'll see some more from him. And then Dale Borweg there, who has had a mixed race, some good battles and some unfortunate incidents, but some solid points to finish in fourth as he comes across the line shortly as well. But yeah, here comes Zenkov just doing his victory lap. Once again, there's nothing that could really stop Zenkov after Scamorza and Russell had their incidents. Even with those two cars in the race, he was extremely quick, closing down. Only a couple of minor mistakes, which were minor blots on the record here, but absolutely stellar race from him and a well-deserved win and big points for the Benetton team. It's unfortunate his teammate couldn't be there to maximise points, but no matter. But that'll be it for this evening. So let's have a look at the results for this evening then. Vladislav Zenkov, as I said, comes home in first position for the Benetton, and then Jakub Kowalski in second for the McLaren, extending his championship lead. Kyle Vesser in third, that'll bump him right up in the standings, and then Dale Borweg once again, that'll bump up in the standings, comes home in fourth. Lee Russell, non-finisher, nobody else was a finisher unfortunately, but Lee Russell is classified in fifth after his engine quite catastrophically failed. Mauro Scamorza, who had quite the spectacular accident, is in sixth, classified in sixth. Tony Mitsalis in seventh, being involved in the same incident. Nick Stepanenko, again involved in that incident, is classified eighth, and ninth. Carsten Poet as well, who unfortunately retired early on in the race. He is classified in ninth. So that has been quite the once again the spectacular race. It's been absolutely brilliant to watch once again, and to call it from my side, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. To see Kyle there doing some fantastic burnouts, giving us a nice little end to the stream. So please join us once again in 2 weeks' time when we head to France for the French Grand Prix at Manicourt, and hopefully I'll see you then. My name has been David Buckley from the Chequered Simsports team. If you want to get involved in this championship or just speak to some of the guys, see what else they offer, all links are in the description below. Fantastic bunch of guys, and we'll be happy to help out with anything you have any questions on. But until next time, thank you very much and goodbye.